This episode of the Better Two podcast is brought to you by Kitty Mystic and DM Needham, author of My Days with the Dark Muse, as well as Love is Worth Waiting For. Hi gang, Donna here. Today I am sitting down with Misty Rose Gold, and yes, that is her real name. Misty's journey began when she was 8 years old. She knew that she wanted to make a difference in the world and make it a better place. When this became clear to her, she began to figure out how she could make her world a better place for her. She had gone through a lot of trauma growing up, and so she decided that she needed to work on herself so she could help others. Misty is now a successful coach for driven and passionate entrepreneurs, executives, leaders, and athletes. She's passionate about helping them manage their stress, emotions, and mindset. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that, but her Better Two moment consists of her recent divorce and why her husband actually thanked her. So welcome, Misty, to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
That's awesome.
Excuse me. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Yes, we both have a little bit of a sinus thing going on, so if there's any clearing of throats, sorry. So tell me a little bit so how long were you married?
We were married for about 5 years. We were together about 8.5 years altogether.
And was it a blissful, when you guys got together, was it because you were friends or was it more of a physical connection?
It's actually something else.
Oh.
Yeah, we were roommates.
Okay.
We started off as roommates and then just kind of developed into something.
Okay. That's a different take on it.
Yes.
So you already knew what it was like living with the person ahead of time.
Right.
So how long did it take so you were roommates, how long did it take to develop into something more?
A couple months. And it was a slow progression. It wasn't something that both of us were rushing into, but it was definitely slow. Mm-hmm.
Were you friends before you were roommates?
For a couple weeks, maybe.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can't say anything. I've talked about my first marriage and how that progressed so quickly, so I can't say anything about that. So how long, so you became roommates and then you got involved a couple of months later. So how far along did it take before you guys actually got married? And what made you decide to get married?
So he said that we had to wait 2 years.
Okay.
Like before we could even go down that road. So it was maybe a year and a half in where he proposed.
Okay.
And then we got married a year later, I think it was. So yeah, I don't remember the dates exactly.
No,
but
you don't have that.
Yeah, he was a stickler on, we have to wait a certain amount of time to make sure that it's right before getting married, because both of us have been married before.
Yeah.
Yes.
My husband and I used to joke because both of our first marriages just imploded within a year after we married the person. And I mean,
wow. For
me though, I was with the person for 3 years prior, and it imploded after because the person that I was married to's thought process completely changed. So my second
that's my story with this guy.
my second husband was like, well, you just got to get that first one under the belt so you can get the next one right. I'm like, okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about for you, but for me, it was like that piece of paper. He decided, okay, I own you now and I can dictate what you can do and what you can't do. And
similar.
Okay. So what happened with yours?
So it was like the moment we got married, a switch was flipped in his mind and he became a different person. He turned into his dad.
Okay.
And he tried to recreate his dad and his mom's relationship, which was very toxic. And his dad was very controlling and abusive and, those kind of things. And the mom was very submissive, but angry all the time because she was submitting to something that she didn't agree with. So he tried to turn us into that. Like he became a totally different person the moment we got married.
I was talking to somebody else, a gentleman last week about his marriage. And and he has a book about expectations. And the thing is, as this conversation progressed, we started talking about the fact that we tend to morph into our parents, whether we want to or not, because we've seen these images of how to live,
Yes.
how to be married, all these things. And what you're saying is
Hmm.
exactly that. You know, he learned
Yes.
from his parents. So what happened after how long after you guys got married? I mean, you were married for a while that you finally said enough is enough. I mean, what was the final thing that made you realize, okay, this is never going to work because it's just toxic and bad. So how did you decide to extricate yourself from the situation?
I'm about a year into it, a year into the marriage, I realized that this isn't going to work. And I tried to help him like work through whatever subconscious programming he had to move us into a better place, but he just wasn't having it. Like he was very, very, very controlling in his own world. I'm not easily controlled. So we were always at odds with each other. Like a man trying to control me is like water trying to go up, like up a hill. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't work.
yeah.
So, um, yeah. So we had a bunch of battles, and I kept trying to approach it from a place of, I know how to fix this, but he just didn't want to fix it. And eventually I asked him to leave our bedroom. So we lived as roommates for about 3.5 years. And that was ample time for him to try to, figure things out, like work through his stuff. And it just wasn't happening. Like he looked at me as property. He looked at, like, I don't want to share you with the world. I don't like the work that you do. And every time I did anything, which was every single day, I was doing something positive to make a difference in my own life or our property or our home or the world, he would try to sabotage it. And he literally would tell me, I don't want to share you with anyone. I don't want to share you. I just want it to be me and you. And I'm like, that's not my life. So there was like a lot of control, and he had a very arrogant thought process of everything that he thought was like it, like because his dad was super intelligent, and his dad was that way too. His dad was very arrogant in his thinking, like he knew everything and everybody else was like an idiot
Hmm.
around them, right? So he had that going for him as well. Well, it wasn't really going for him, but
He thought it was.
right. He thought it was. So he thought about that. Like that's the way he presented himself, is like, I know everything and nobody else knows anything, especially you, because you're a woman,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I get that. Hmm.
One of those, very narcissistic tendencies, but also very much like, I'm above you because I'm a guy.
How old were you?
So um, during the whole process,
Well, yeah, I mean, when you got married, how old were you roughly?
I'm 40 now,
Okay,
and we got divorced last year.
okay.
Right.
I was when I met my first one, I was 22, and
Hmm.
I married him at 26 or close to 26. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I had learned lessons, and he was telling me everything I needed to hear when we got
Hmm.
together. And then he
Hmm.
had kids, and that was one of my biggest fears at the time, was being a mom.
Okay.
And so for me, it was like, okay, I fell in love with the kids, and he was a part of the package.
Right.
And so I think a lot of the times we make sacrifices for other people if you're in that situation. For you, you were smart enough to see, okay, I can't do this. And once I got married to him, he looked at what I was writing. He had never read an ounce of what I was writing, and he was like, "Oh, it's some kind
Hmm.
of Barbie doll fantasy." You never read it. How would you know? And
Exactly.
I was reading cards, starting to read cards, and he's like, "Well, that's Hokey Land."
Okay.
Okay. And I mean, at a certain point, he started driving a truck over the road, and he was gone all the time. And it's like, okay, so wait a second. I'm married, but I'm a single mom, and
Right.
I'm raising two kids. And what's the point here? And I had a friend tell
Hmm.
me, and I was also a disc jockey at the time. I had a friend tell me, she's like, your life is better than this. You're living in a small town. You're better than this. And that was kind
Hmm.
of one of those moments where it's like, yeah, okay, maybe. And my second husband was very supportive of everything I did.
Good. Excellent.
So I think that's a lesson that we, because not always was our parents supportive of us, we tend to pick that toxic partner whether we believe it or
Hmm.
not, because we're looking for something outside of ourselves to validate us.
Right.
So let's go back to your marriage. So,
Yes.
I mean, because my husband did the same thing. He's like, "You're not going anywhere. I want to go to a concert in Chicago or live in Indiana. Nope, can't do it. It's too dangerous."
Mm.
All right, you let
Okay.
me drive across the country to Dallas with the two kids and New Orleans with
Hmm.
the two kids, but I can't. No, it's too dangerous. Okay, so I get the controlling factor of you can't do that. So,
Well, I took a lot away from that marriage, and I call him my dark soulmate
okay,
because it was necessary. The journey that we took together was absolutely necessary. So, as we were going through this process of like me trying to figure out how best to help him and trying to uncover and go through the layers of his stuff, like just working through that process, each and every single week, I would take the information that I uncovered, and then inevitably, my clients that week would need the information. So it made me a much better life coach. It made me better at helping people, which helps the world, right? So if I
right.
can help an individual, it makes the world a better place. So that process, I don't regret it. I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as he was a dark soulmate for me.
And that's important. And I admire in you, because I do it as well, looking at aspects of pain, trauma, or whatever, and seeing that life lesson that either can help you or somebody you know. Because I learned
Mm-hmm.
how to be a better step parent because I didn't have the best step parents. So I
Right,
knew when I became a step parent, this is what I wanted to do and this isn't what I wanted to do. And a lot of people don't look
right.
at life that way. They just like, oh, well, this happened. Well, either learn from it or don't. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
You choose to be victim or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Right.
So,
And I get that. I had stepkids too. And I had a horrible stepmom growing up. So I learned what not to do from her.
mm-hmm. And I mean,
Yes. Mhm.
for you, how hard was it to, how immersed into the stepkids' lives were you? Were they living with you at the time or was it just kind of a
Um,
weekend thing?
they would visit us during the summer.
Okay.
So we would have them for a couple months. So I was involved in their lives. I was the closest to the oldest. Um, when I finally decided to end the marriage, like it took me a long time to do it. One, because I was giving him ample time and, opportunities to figure things out because I just didn't want another divorce.
Yeah.
Number two, I loved his family and his family loved me and I loved his boys. And I was really close to his oldest boy. So I had to consider every single heart that I was going to break. And it took me a long time to work up the courage to break their hearts. And then it just got to a point where I just couldn't handle anymore. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. It's time. And, the boys were old enough where it was better for them, in their
Mhm.
20s. So it was much better for them when we were moving into that stage.
Are you still in contact with them now?
Yes, I got messages, during Christmas and stuff. And
Good.
I hope to see the oldest one soon. He's supposed to come here from California and, we'll hang out when he's here. The
Good.
younger one, I love him, but we're not super close. Like we butt heads a lot. So I don't know if I'll ever see him again, but I am looking forward to seeing the oldest one. Mm-hmm.
No, that's the thing. I had a girlfriend who was getting involved with it with a guy who had kids. This was like a long time ago now. And I told her, I said, be careful when you do that. She goes, why? She's like, it's just the guy. I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Because, and I know I appreciate people that are cautious when they have their kids. They take time to get involved with those kids. Because yes, eventually those kids become part of that person's life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the hardest things is, yeah, I like you get caught up in your spouse's life. You know their family. If they have kids, then you know their kids. For me, and I'm sure this is kind of what you went through. For me, when I met my husband and I finally met his family was just like, oh, we prayed to God for you. You know, he needed security and the girls needed security. And I'm like, and I look back and it's like, okay, so basically, you know, the relationship I think was a month old. And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden I am elevated on this pillar
Right.
that I don't want to say a saint because it's not that I'm a saint, but all this is going on. And then I meet the kids and yes, that's just wonderful. And at a certain point, it's like you're on that roller coaster and you're not, if you step off of it, then where are you? And you like the people that you've met. They're giving you the family that you wish you had growing up, so you have that
Yes.
connection.
Right.
But when it's all said and done, you're like, okay, so they're his family. I have to walk away from that. And the interesting
Right.
thing is, I did
That was
walk
hard to
away.
do.
Yeah, I did walk away. And my mother-in-law, when my youngest was 16, I went down there because she was having some issues and her parents couldn't control her. So they're like, hey, you come down and talk to her. Mind you, I have not raised her in 8 years. I
Mm-hmm.
had just started talking to her recently and they're like, come down. You need, so I go down and I go see my mother-in-law who's bedridden. And my mother-in-law looks at me and she's like, because I was terrified to go. I loved my mother-in-law, but I was terrified to go. So I
Mm-hmm.
went and she's just like, no, I know why you left him. I understand why you left him and you were the best thing that ever happened. She's like,
Yeah.
I love you. And I'm like, it broke my
Aw.
heart because all that time I could have been talking to her still, but I was,
Right.
so I mean, there's a bigger picture. And this is the same
Right.
thing that you're saying. There's a
Yes,
bigger picture that we have to look at.
we do.
And when you're on that pedestal, you have to decide, and basically you're on the same pedestal. If you're that
Yes.
enmeshed, you have to worry about guilt, shame, disappointment, and those are all feelings that you are in touch with as a kid, that coming from a traumatic situation at your home. So once again, you've achieved the family love that you wanted, but you have to step back
Hmm.
and go, okay, now I'm about to break everybody's heart. What do I do?
Right.
And
Well, I did.
I
And
know.
I knew that it was the best decision for everyone involved because sometimes my absence teaches them more than my presence does.
Fair enough.
So why did Misty leave my son, talking about my mother-in-law? If
Hmm.
she's asking herself those questions, it's going to teach her more than my presence ever could. So, just thinking about it that way, knowing that I made the right decision because I know it was in alignment with my soul. Um, I knew I made the right decision and I knew that it would help them in some way. I knew that it would make their world better in some way. Like sometimes we need pain to teach us lessons,
Hmm.
right? And the
Yeah.
absence of somebody that you really love and care about can teach us a very powerful lesson. So that's where I chose to take it with my thought process.
Do you ever think that you doing what you did would actually motivate her to make that change? Or do you think she's just happy in her marriage, even though it's toxic?
Well, her husband passed away,
Okay, fair enough.
so it may have given her a different view of her life of, I know my son is toxic and Misty had the courage to leave him. Why didn't I leave my husband?
True.
Those kind of questions probably have popped into her head because I led by example. I showed her the example of, I'm going to do the most loving thing for everyone involved, which is we're going to end this. We're not going to stay together in misery for the rest of our lives. It's just not worth it.
And I think that's so many women do stay in a toxic situation because, dare I say, the devil I know is better than whatever may be waiting around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
People stay in toxic situations all the time because of that, but it's not the truth.
Right.
It's just fear. It's fear
And it
that
is
keeps us.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. Leaving him, there was a lot of fear that I had to battle, a lot of it. But my my higher purpose, my higher calling, to make the world a better place, pulled me from that space, but also loving myself too, and saying, you know what? I love me enough to face this fear. I love me enough to jump off this cliff and see where I land, or if I fly, or if I splat on my face.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people let that little word get in their way. It's
Yes,
like, well, I know things, so I'd rather just, what if I get with somebody else that's worse? What if you get with somebody that's better?
exactly.
What if you
And I
don't
have
get,
found someone better.
there you go. Or what if I take the time to learn who I am? I
Hmm.
mean, that's something there that I think we're all very scared to do, is take time to discover who we are. Because so much from the time we leave high school, or even in high school, you're pressured to date. You're pressured to be in a relationship. You're not normal if you're just hanging out with your girlfriends. Why aren't you
Hmm.
married? Why aren't you having kids? I mean, there's these milestones, and we're getting away a little bit from that, but
That's
this is
good.
something that
Yes.
we're pressured into most of the time. I
Right.
mean, how many times when you were growing up were you asked, so when are you getting married? When are you going to have kids?
I remember having a conversation with my parents that I didn't want to have children at a very young age, children of my own.
I did this.
And I still don't have children of my own. Like, I've raised my nephew.
Hmm.
I'm his mommy, so to speak. He's 23 years old, but I don't have children of my own. I had stepchildren. I was a mother to three boys, but they didn't come from me. And I still don't want children of my own.
No, I
So,
I get that
yeah.
completely, because I told my mom at 17, I'm like, I'm not going to have kids unless I get married and they have them, or I adopt. Not going to do it.
Hmm.
And she just looked at me like I was insane. And I'm like, sorry. You know,
Yeah.
I, so
I was
that's
told I would change my mind, but I didn't.
no.
I knew how toxic my family was. My eyes were opened at a very, very young age. 8 years old, I had that vision of changing the world. It opened my eyes to just how toxic everything was around me. I had no desire to bring a child into that.
That was one of my reasoning, is it's like I already see the world as its darkness, and I don't know that I want to do that.
Right.
Um, my second husband and I, we talked about having kids at one point, very briefly, and
Hmm.
both of us said, "Wait a second, both of us have health issues. Why would we do that? Why would
Right.
we risk passing those genes on to somebody else?"
Right.
So we were conscious about not having children,
Hmm. Same.
and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I
Oh,
think if
gosh,
you,
no.
but there are a lot of people that will judge you because you don't have kids.
I think
Now
it's the responsible thing to do.
it is. Now I will say this: being a widow and going through this with COVID and not having what you would traditionally have as a family, having
Hmm.
children and stuff, it is a
Hmm.
very bizarre feeling, because then you do look at your own mortality. Not that I'm going to go run out and have a kid now, but you
Right.
do start looking at your
Right.
own mortality. It's like, well, so when I go, where does everything go? Who do I leave this to? So
Mm.
that kind of stuff starts, and that's normal. I mean, even if you have kids, I'm sure you're still going, well, am I going to, so it's
Yeah.
one of those
I know
things
where all
where,
my stuff is going, but I understand your situation,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everything I have goes to my nephew. So,
And see, that makes perfect sense, you know,
mm,
but it's just one of those things where you have to have that relationship in place. I mean, I still keep tabs on my stepdaughters, but we're not
hmm.
close. So,
Right.
but anyway, I'm digressing. So let's go back to Misty Rose Gold. We were talking pre thing, because I asked if that was your real name, and you're like, yes, it is. So how did that
Hmm.
all come about?
So before I got a divorce, I was meditating one day and I just got this message, this divine spiritual message: change your last name. Okay. And then my brain, I went to, oh, whoa, what do I change it to? Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea was very exciting and very liberating because I would have a name that's pure, that's unattached to my father, unattached to any guy that I've married. That's the energy of the name would be absolutely pure. And that was what excited me. I was
Okay.
like, this is a new beginning for me, and I want a name that is unattached. It doesn't have bad memories with it, right? So in meditation again, I'm like, okay, so what do I change it to? And the first name that came to me was Gold. I'm like, done. I make very quick decisions. So
Nothing wrong with that.
yes. And it just made perfect sense because gold is refined by fire. And that's my life. That's my life story. I have been refined by countless fires. So I feel like that name is perfect and I've lived up to it.
Did you take your husband's last name?
I did have his last name. Yes, I did.
See, I've
Mm-hmm.
always been one, and my first husband didn't like it. My second husband, he was like, okay, whatever. My parents
Uh-huh.
won't like it, but whatever. I never have. I've always been who I am. And
Right.
my opinion was always, why am I changing my identity to be married to you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still me. You're not going to change your last name, so why should I change mine?
Right.
But I do like your thought process about the whole last name change. It's not even attached to your family, and therefore your history is
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily linked.
Right.
So I get that. I get
Yep.
that, and I
It's
appreciate
pure.
that.
And it feels amazing. It feels right. It feels like this is the name I should have had my entire life.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Um, so when we had set this interview up, you had said that your husband actually was thankful and grateful that you divorced him.
Yes.
How did that all come about?
So it was very recent in the last couple of months. He and I spoke. We sat down and talked as friends. I finally got to that place because he asked me, a few months back, can we be friends? And I'm like, I'm just not ready for that. But he wanted it. And one day I just woke up and like, okay, I'm ready to be friends. And we ended up seeing each other that evening and spending a couple hours together. And during that time, we were talking about dating, and I gave him some pointers because I know him really well, and
Hmm.
I know what destroyed us. So I wanted to give him some pointers to have success in his next relationship. And we're talking about all this stuff. We're chit chatting, having a good time, and he said, this divorce has been the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life, but it's been the best thing for me because I'm finally becoming a better man.
Then that's a bonus. That's
Yes,
really a bonus.
yes. And that was just more confirmation that I made the right decision,
Did
not
he,
just for me, but for him too.
true. Did he apologize about his behavior toward you, about trying to control you, or is that just something that you guys never talked about?
He did a few months before when he asked to be friends. He was very apologetic, in tears. I'm so sorry, all this stuff. I love you. I'm sorry. This time around, he, as we were talking about dating, he was like, I don't ever want to hurt anyone as much as I hurt you ever again. And he was in tears when he said it. It was very precious. And that was enough of an apology for me. Just
Yeah.
his realization of, I do not want to destroy another person emotionally. I don't want to hurt another person emotionally. I don't want to do that to another person. He was like, I'm so fearful of dating because I don't want to hurt someone else like I've hurt you. And I'm like, well, here's some pointers to help you do that because I know exactly what hurt me.
And
So
that's, go ahead.
it was a beautiful conversation. And, we ended it with, he gave me a hug and he said, I love you. And I was like, I love you too, but it's just not the same anymore. He's like, I know. But it was beautiful.
That's a mature conversation. That's a better way to handle things. The last time my ex and I got together was for my daughter's wedding and my stepdaughter's wedding. And first, right off the bat, as soon as he sees me, he pulls me in to give me a hug, and I'm like, "Hi," and I'm like, "This is my new husband." So I'm setting that boundary, that clear
Right.
boundary, that this is my new husband. And by the end of the wedding,
Mhm.
Because we had the rehearsal dinner. But by the end of the wedding, at the reception, he corners me in a room and starts talking about how he really wants a relationship and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, mind you, we've been divorced for quite a while, and it was just kind of like, um, it didn't make any sense to me. It was just kind of like,
Right.
dude, there was no apology, there was nothing, and it was just kind of like, mm-mm, no, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Reminds me of the song, You Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone.
I was told when Jessica was 16, she told me when I was down there, she's like, Dad never got over you, and I'm like, not my problem, not my problem. That
Mm.
same time, he pulled me in for a hug because we went over to his house to pick up something, and he pulled me in for a hug, and all I could think was he still smelled the same, and it was like it wasn't a very pleasant reminder. It wasn't like
Right.
smelling somebody and go, oh yes. No, it was kind of like,
Repellent.
yeah, it was like, no, I don't want this. And she's like, Dad never got over you, and I'm like, I got over him. And that's the thing. It's like you realize, yes, just like you said, that song, that you don't know what you got until it's gone. Well, sorry, I'm gone now, I'm not coming back. And when I look
Hmm.
at him now, I think it's like 20 years since we've separated. We are total opposites of people who we are.
Hmm.
And it's like, I can't see that would have never lasted. It would never have lasted, especially our viewpoints and everything else. It's like, I just don't see that ever having stood the test of time.
Right. Definitely.
And I don't think we necessarily, when we see somebody, we don't fully, dare I say, vet them. We don't really, we jump into relationships so quickly that we don't fully know these people that we get involved with usually. We just go, okay, let's go. Let's have fun.
Usually. Yes. And that's something I help women with. I've gone through my own dating journey in the last 6 months, and I found somebody that's wonderful and amazing and fits my life really well. But you have to know who you are, and you have to know what's right for you and what you want from a relationship, and set those boundaries. You can't just like, oh, and cower, like a lot of women will cower to whatever the guy wants or whatever this is. And, it's like, this is what I want. Don't settle. And I did not settle. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because yes, I had beautiful connections with some other guys in my journey, but there was just something that wasn't quite right. And I didn't settle. Right. And
Yeah.
I knew my worth. I knew what I was looking for. And I finally have that. And the main thing that I was looking for in a relationship was, do you bring me peace? Because I'm a peaceful person, and
Yeah.
peace is precious commodity to me. It's more valuable than anything else in my life. If I don't have peace, I don't want it.
Right.
And that's with everything. That's with my business. That's with my clients, with every part of my life. If it stresses me out, I'm not going to do it.
And I don't blame you. I mean, that's one thing nobody saw. You seem to have had stress in your relationship. For me, my first marriage, we
Hmm.
never fought. I was very much, which is, I know most people are like, you never fought. No, I never fought at all with him because
Hmm.
I, at, I was coming from that point of still being younger, and you're the kid. You're told not to speak up. You're told not to do this. So we never
Hmm.
fought. But as soon as I left, I found my voice in spades because I was just like, ah. And
She learned to speak up.
exactly. Well, and that's one thing where I'm going with this is, and in my second marriage, because I had that experience, I was
Hmm.
able to say, okay. And I knew I had learned also that when you're ticked at somebody, it's not necessarily about that person, it's more about you. So step away, figure out
Hmm.
what's going on. If it is a
Right,
problem with that person, then come back. And even
right,
if it's about you, talk to them. But
right,
don't do it in the heat of the moment. And
right.
that's where a lot of people I think screw up, is because they either don't say anything, or if they do say anything, they just jump into it right in the middle of the
Yeah, they
argument.
react right away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they keep going and going and going, and all that's doing is just bubbling over.
right,
So,
right. And creating more issues.
yeah, yeah. And then they were like, well, I don't understand. Well, he's not listening to me. Nobody's hearing you when you are yelling at each other. Nobody's
Hmm.
listening. They're trying to make
Hmm.
their point, and they're not dissecting. So, take a time out. So the new
Yeah.
person you met, was this somebody online or was it through
Mhm.
friends? How did you do it?
Yep. We met online. So my dating journey has been online, primarily because of COVID. I had to surrender. I'm like, okay, it's time for me to start dating. Can't do it in the traditional way. So let me go online. And I did. And I tried different platforms. And literally the day before I signed up for eHarmony, I met him on eHarmony. The day before I signed up for eHarmony, I was done. I
Okay.
was like, the stress of dating is taking a toll on me. It's emotional stress, right?
Hmm.
So there was a lot of emotional stress involved in that. And I'm just like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's taking away from my work. It's taking away from my coaching. It's taking away from everything that I'm doing. And I drew a line. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'll just take a break and I'll start again later. Okay. The
Hmm.
next morning, literally the next morning, my soul is telling me, get on eHarmony. I'm like, huh? What? Because I always follow my soul's guidance. Some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
call it their intuition, some people call it their gut, but my soul was telling me very clearly, get on eHarmony. Ugh, okay, fine. And I went in kicking and screaming. I was like, all right, fine. And then I realized, I was like, dang, this costs a lot. So I was resisting, right? There was a
Hmm.
lot of resistance for me to go into it. And then I had to reason with myself, well, if my person is on here, I'm investing in him. And I thought about it that way. I was like, okay, I can do that. I can invest in him, right?
Hmm.
So the next morning, I'm dealing with myself. I'm like, all right, soul, I always follow you. I'm going to do this, but I had to work through my stuff to do it. And I got on and I was like, all right, this is fine. I'm going to meet some people. That's great, blah, blah, blah. I did. I was like, okay, I'm not really interested. So let me see if I can help these guys out a little bit, because I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can add some value to their life. So most of my conversations were that I was not fully interested in dating them, but I'm like, let me see if I can help you out a little bit. And that's what I did. So I used the dating as like a twofold experience. It was great. It was a great experience for them too. And a week later, this guy pops up on my profile. I'm like, oh, okay, he looks interesting. And he's in the location where I want to move to. Right. So
Okay.
this works.
Hmm.
Right. So I reached out to him and he connected with me right away.
Awesome.
Come to find out, I was the first person that he connected with. He got on eHarmony that day. So he didn't have any of those crazy dating experiences that I did. Like he was pure and fresh and clean and he was not jaded in any kind of way. It was great. So
Nice.
we really connected through, messaging and that kind of thing. And I just so happened to be going to Denver that week. I was going on Friday to the Botanic Gardens. I wanted to see the gardens. So he kept asking me, like, what does your week look like? What does your week look like? I'm like, I'm going to be in Denver. And he's like, oh, we should get coffee. I said, why don't we have coffee at the gardens together? Would you be willing to meet me there? And he said, yes. I was like, okay, all right, that's good. This guy
Awesome.
might be a keeper,
Yeah.
right? He's willing to meet me in a very girly environment.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, we met at the gardens. We had a great time together, and I mean that's our history. We've had such a peaceful connection. Like, because I can feel. I don't know if this happens for other people, but I can feel the energy of the other person even before I meet them. When I connect with them through text or messenger or whatever it is, I can feel their energy.
Hmm.
And I felt nothing but peace from him. I was
That's
like, I
awesome.
like this. Yeah, I like this. And it has continued. We've been together for a month and a half now, and it's still the same. A
Are
month and a
you
half in, we're still peaceful when we're together and when we're apart.
okay? I was gonna say, how
Mhm.
often have you seen him since then?
Every
Since
week,
that. Awesome.
every weekend. Uh-huh.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. It's either I go there or he comes here.
Well, see, sometimes, I mean, that's the thing about what do you want to call it, intuition, your soul.
Hmm.
Sometimes if you listen and pay attention, it's going to send you down the right path.
Right.
You
Even
know?
kicking and screaming.
Yes,
I was
yes,
like, I'm
yes.
done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Been there, done that. Um, and you have to listen to it. I mean, it's an
Mhm.
amazing thing, and it usually will never steer you wrong.
Right.
You know, even even the worst thing sometimes though is to teach us a lesson.
Right.
So
Even if it doesn't look like it's taking you down the right road, it's still the right road.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. Like
um,
my dark soulmate.
yeah,
Like my soul guided me to be with him and to stay with him and to marry him. It was meant to be for
mm,
both of us.
exactly. I mean, as much as I was bashing my first marriage, I got to be a
Hmm.
mom and I got to raise two beautiful kids. For a
Right.
certain point, they called me
Hmm.
mom, and I mean, I'll never have that experience again,
Right.
and I'm glad I had it. So even though it wasn't the best marriage, it taught me a lot about who I am. You know,
Awesome.
so I mean, I think that's the thing that most people don't look at. They're like, oh well, it was an awful experience. Yeah, but did you learn something?
Right.
You know, just like you. I mean, I've had people go, well, wow, all that stuff you survived in your life, and you're like, yeah, well, it was life. I made it through. I learned something from it, and
Hmm.
made me who I am today. And
Exactly.
I think too many people don't look at the bigger picture of it. So
Well, on
you,
that note, before we go on, I want to inject something real quick.
okay,
I choose to see that everything is working for my good.
yeah,
So Tony Robbins says that life is working for you, not against you,
hmm,
right? And I choose to see that. And for me, that's a big deal. I've been through a lot. There's a lot of stuff in my history that people would be like, what? How do you find the good in that? How do
yeah,
you find the good in sexual abuse? How do you find the good in all of the stuff that you've gone through? Sometimes you have to search really hard. Sometimes it takes years to find the good in it, but if you're searching for it, it always shows up. So anything that I've gone through, like my recent marriage and the recent divorce, I always look for the good. Anything that goes awry or anything that's like, oh, this isn't going my way, where's the good in this? Because it's happening for my good, but not just my good, but the people I come in contact with, because it's not all about me. Life isn't all about me. Life is about everyone involved.
yeah,
So every single person I come in contact needs me to go through those experiences. They need me to go through them, figure them out, dissect them, overcome them, and teach them the wisdom of how to do that for themselves. So it's not just about me. It's for my good, but it's also for the greater good.
exactly. And you know, my response usually from me personally is, it's made me a writer. It's made me be
Mm,
able to use that and channel. So even though I'm not helping people one on one, in a way I
mm-hmm.
am, because if somebody
Yeah,
can
you
read
are.
something and connect with it,
Yeah. Or your
so
listeners to your podcast.
exactly. I mean,
Yes.
that's one of the reasons why I chose the Better Two podcast, is because it's talking about somebody's personal life experience, and somebody may have a very similar one.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can learn something from what you've gone through, what I've gone through, then they can grow from it. So
Right.
that's kind of that's kind of why I chose what I did.
Uh,
Where I was going is, so you are a coach. We know you're a coach. So tell us a
mhm.
little bit about what you do.
So, my coaching, I focus on helping a person manage their stress, their emotions, and their mindset. Because if you can conquer those, if you can master those three areas of your life, you can have success on your terms in every single area of your life.
Do you
Right?
see? Yeah, yeah, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about our most recent conversation of my dating experience. If I didn't know how to manage those things, the beautiful relationship that I have with the guy now wouldn't be beautiful because fears have popped up, insecurities have popped up, and I have to wrestle that and get it to a peaceful place. And it's done the same for him. You know, some insecurities popped up, and I'm like, I just need you to trust me. And it did. And it brought us back to that place of peace. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but I'm saying that we're able to maintain that because our thought process is focused on let's create a peaceful environment for both people. So, of course, I can have success in this relationship because I know how to manage my stress. I know how to manage my emotions. I know how to manage my mindset. And that's what he likes. You know, if I'm all over the place, like
Right.
angry and I'm jealous and I'm fearful and all this stuff, that's not attractive.
No. And when you think about that, if you think about the initial first date, all the pressure that we put on ourselves for that first date, the do I look okay? Is he going to like me? What do I have to watch what I eat? How do I eat the, I all the little
I had
tropes that
zero
come.
pressure,
But
zero.
what I'm getting at is we in normal, and that's awesome that you did that, but I'm just saying in normal, and I haven't dated in
Uh-huh.
17 years. We put
Mm-hmm.
all these expectations, and that's a between fear and expectations, those
Mm-hmm.
things can derail you from being peaceful
Yes,
because they just go into a loop of, well, what if he doesn't like this? What if he doesn't like that? What if he does?
right, right. And I just showed up as myself. I'm like, I'm me. There's no stress. I know who I am. I own my power. If you don't like me, next.
And see, that's where you need to come from. But I think as younger people, we aren't taught that. We
Right.
aren't taught to be in that position. The younger generation seems to be getting a little bit better handle on that, but
Mm-hmm.
my generation, your generation, I think that we're no, no, no. You are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right, yeah, no, not happening. Um, so what made, when did you decide that I'm definitely going to be a coach? I mean, you studied psychology, um,
I study
and
people like it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of everything. It just kind of happened. I was 20 years old when I did my first coaching session. And it wasn't paid for, but it just happened. I'm like, okay, that feels right. It feels in alignment for me. And it was just natural. It's natural for me to take the wisdom that I've learned and pass it on to other people. It's just natural. So it's been a lifelong journey for me.
okay. Do you see people? I mean, some people focus mainly on women of a certain persuasion. So
Mm-hmm.
yours seems to be very open, though. I mean, I'm looking at your website,
Mm-hmm.
which is mistyrosegold.com.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to have some diversity to it. So
Yes.
you coach both men and women, and you even said that when we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about dating.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your biggest hurdle to overcome as a coach?
Hmm. I think my biggest hurdle to overcome as a coach was the online space.
Okay.
For me, going to in-person networking groups and all that is more natural.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my biggest challenge was taking it online, taking it onto Facebook. But when I did that, I became international. Like I reached more people all over the world. So that was a massive fulfillment for me because my entire life, I'm like, how am I going to reach the world? How am I going to reach the world? How am I going to reach the world? Looking for that avenue. And about 4.5 years ago, I think now it was 4.5 years ago, where I went online. And then one day it just clicked. I was like, oh, I have international clients now. Wait a
Nice.
second. I found my vehicle to reaching the world. So the online space is much more challenging for me, massively. And I'm in a scaling phase right now in my business. So I'm facing those challenges as well. It's more organic and easier for me to do in person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
So this has been a massive challenge.
the pandemic. So, but look at it this way. So the pandemic, as bad as it's been with lockdown and everything, it has forced you to integrate this part into your business even more.
Even more. So I was online prior to, so it didn't change anything in my world,
Mm-hmm.
but it forced me to take it to the next level.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's kind of what I was thinking because it's like even if you had just dipped your toe into the online experience, now you're being forced. It's in your face, going, "Hey, you have to do it, or you're not going to do it. You have to be
Yeah.
online." And I think that that was a big challenge for everybody to learn because it's like you can't have that in-person contact.
Right. Yeah, I was forced to scale online because my plan was to scale both in person and online. I'm like, well, I got to figure this out.
And hopefully, we are starting to get back to normal. So then you can kind of find some balance between the two. But you're still also
Mhm.
in the process of moving too, are you not?
Well, I haven't, no, no, no.
No.
So I I'm aiming to move to
Okay.
Denver. So that's the plan, is to move to the city because that's part of my in-person plan.
Okay.
My guy is also there, so it makes
Yeah.
it very nice.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm working on right now, is a massive scale online. It's technology, it's a bunch of different things. I'm working on creating an app for my business, which is really cool. Um, but then the next phase, or part of this phase, is to go into more of the in-person stuff now that the restrictions are easing up and people are starting to get back together. So do more public speaking events. Like that's part of the plan. So you asked about my clients, right, and who I kind of work with. So I work with entrepreneurs mainly. I do have some corporate clients, and I've worked with athletes. I I work with people that deal with special kind of stress. A special kind of stress that others don't experience.
Yeah.
So high leadership positions, athletes, entrepreneurs, we experience a very special kind of stress, right? So it takes a lot more of us to be able to manage that and keep a daily piece going on. So those are the people that I really love to work with and I gravitate toward. I do one-on-one coaching, and I also have a group. It's kind of a pet project for me. Um, I have this group where we meet every Tuesday. It's just female entrepreneurs, and I offer them the coaching that they need. They know that there's something great inside of them. They know that they can achieve more, but they
Hmm.
just need that help from a coach. Well, this is a special project for me because these women can't afford my one-on-one coaching, but they can afford my group
Okay.
because it's like the price of a new pair of shoes, right? And I
Hmm.
wanted to make that available for women that are in that situation where they might be with a guy, they might be married, and he has control over the finances. She doesn't have much money available to her. This works for them because it's a price of a pair of shoes for the entire month, and you get the weekly coaching. And it's in a group where it's very safe. There's no judgment. It's just a loving group where we come together and raise each other up. And, of course, I offer coaching every single week. So that's one of my pet projects for women who are in my position, who where my finances were separate from my husband, but yet I lived off of what I made. And when I made the switch from in person to online, my finances tanked.
Yeah.
And I was living off of very little, and I needed a coach, but I couldn't afford one. So I'm catering to those women who were me.
That's a nice thing to do. Um, so who would be your dream client
Hmm. Well, for one on one or for my group?
for one-on-one?
For one on one. Okay. So, one on one dream client is an entrepreneur who's looking to scale their business and take it to the next level. Because when we do that, we have to deal with ourselves. We have to take ourselves to the next level. We have to take our mind to the next level. We have to do so much internal work to make that growth happen. So, that's my ideal client, man or woman. I love them both. Bring it
uh,
on.
so where do you hope to see yourself in 5 years?
Okay, in 5 years, definitely traveling the world, speaking on international stages. That's where I see myself in 5 years.
So are you going to have a TED Talk sometime soon?
I am working on becoming the TED world. Um, so that's in process, and it is a process for anyone who's interested. I'm volunteering at the next event, which I found out is one of the best ways to get involved in that world and get into becoming a TEDx speaker.
I actually had a TEDx speaker, Di Manuel, a couple of weeks ago. So
Nice.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, he had an interesting story. So let's go back to your better two then. So, and I
Yes.
already know the answer. Was it better to have married and divorced than, you know?
Then not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Even if it looked like a mistake, it wasn't. It was better to have tried, you know?
Hmm.
I think that's one of the biggest things in life is that so many people are afraid to try because they're
Yeah.
afraid to fail.
Well,
Well,
go ahead.
dive in. You know what? If you feel like you're being pulled in a certain direction, go. The only way to succeed in this life is to go through. You can't go over, you can't go around. You got to go through. And sometimes it's messy.
Yes, it is. There was a friend who had a dream one time, and she told me it was right before I was supposed to go do something spectacular, and it was
Mhm.
awesome. And this person in the dream told her there are no memories without the risk.
Mm,
And it's a very true statement because, I
right.
mean, good, bad, and different, it's still a memory.
Hmm.
And you'll treasure it no matter what because it's part of you. So
Right.
always be willing to try something. So,
Yes. Even if it doesn't work.
exactly. Well, I thank you for your time, Misty, and I hope you have some great success. I will be posting her links on the podcast page so you can check her out. And on Sunday, this will be up on YouTube. So take care, guys, and see you next time. The Better Two podcast is mixed, edited, and produced by Rich Zai of Third Ear Audio Productions.